Welcome back to Billygrey. This is our style guide for 2019. What's trending, what's new, and what's hot, part 2. We're going to talk about sport jackets today. Really, they came into prominence after World War I, and there were two primary styles. The sack coat, which was soft rolled lapels, very lightly constructed, pretty roomy. The second was the English drape. It featured a little bit bigger, stronger, wider shoulder, a little more shape in the waist and hip, and just generally a more constructed feel. Today, those two options still exist, and frankly, the sack coat has begun to make more and more of a comeback as we've gone to less constructed and less formal appearing jackets. Now, you may recall from the 2019 forecast that the soft jacket is being accompanied by a softer trouser. Now we're going to talk about the construction of a jacket. These are the details, if you will, and it will surprise you, particularly when you're considering custom clothing, the number of options that affect the finished style that are available to you when you work with a custom clothier. You can play around with buttons. Buttons can range from anything matching and plastic to something bone and hard and heavy and really substantive. You have options with regard to constructions, you have options with regard to colors of threads, and of course, and this is a big one, the lining material, the inside of the jacket. This is really where you get to have some fun, and it's more for you than anything else. So there are an infinite number of collar options and different things that you can consider. What you're going to find more often than not, and what you'll typically be most familiar with, are notched lapels, peak lapels, and shawl collars. Now, within that, there are all kinds of variations and options which you'll see pictured here. When you get down to it though, you want to keep balance in mind. And what I mean by that is if you're a very broad-shouldered guy and you've got a standard notched lapel, you want a little bit more width in your lapel to offer the balance to the end of your shoulder. The same is true with a super wide lapel and a narrower shoulder or smaller faced fellow. What you really want to gain here is the balance that allows attention to be stuck to your face and not to a mismatch in your wardrobe. It's important that your clothing not take attention away from your presentation. One of the primary differences in the sack coat or the drape coat is in the shoulder presentation. A really well-constructed shoulder versus something soft and very, very sort of casual, if you will. The advantage you have with regard to balancing shoulder anomalies is pretty much limited to drape. And what I mean by that is some guys have shoulders that are imbalanced. One's lower or more draped than the other. And if you want to accommodate a constructed jacket, you can do that by putting a little more padding on one side and less on the other, thereby bringing an imbalanced shoulder into balance and lets the jacket hang nicely. In addition, on the outsides, you can show gun patches and you can show epaulettes and you can show buttons and details. Hunting jackets are notorious for gun patches, and of course epaulettes are just a more military-inspired look, but they have always entered into the fashion realm and been an opportunity for more self-expression. Sometimes the fashion industry, just in the interest of showing you something new and being relevant this season, shows you a twist or something new that really doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense. Center vents are an example of this kind of thinking. I personally have never been a fan of the center vent because it takes something this wide and makes it look wider. It's not sleek. It doesn't help you get to your back pocket. And as you may recall from a previous presentation, vents were originally cut into sport jackets so that men riding horseback would be able to let the jacket drape over the back of their saddles. Additionally, there is the no vent option, which is very, very popular in formal wear. These are all options available to you, and frankly, it's a matter of what you prefer. There are lots of options in pockets, and frankly, they can be a little bit overdone. Ticket pockets, welted pockets, inverted pocket flaps, buttons. These are all things that have their place. It can be flapped, it can be buttoned, it can be jetted. All of these options are things that you'll see here. So there are buttonholes on the boutonniere, there are buttonholes on the front, and there are buttonholes typically on the sleeve. The surgeon's cuff is an actual functioning button and buttonhole that lets you open the vent on your sleeve. That is a really fine touch and something that's indicative of a high quality classically custom-made jacket. And of course, it's custom because once you cut those buttons in there, there's no shortening or lengthening the sleeve. You really got to nail that down just right. But you have the opportunity to change the colors on some of these buttonholes, particularly the boutonniere and the sleeve buttons, if you so desire. You have options with the interior construction of your jackets too. You can have pockets for your cell phone. You can have pockets for your business cards, for your passports. They can be buttoned and locking. You can have pockets for your pen. You can have them on either side, whether you're left or right-handed, you get to choose. But just bear in mind that these are all options that it may have never occurred to you before are available for you to customize so that the jacket really does the things you want it to do for yourself.